who we are and what we are. So I would say perhaps an appropriate analogy would be the rat in the maze. You know, the rat can be very clever and get through the maze and get its cheese and do all this stuff. But it's in a maze. It's in this controlled little box, and it only, you know, acts on this very crude level. And as humans, we're sort of empowered now, accidentally, you know, as a consequence of this intelligence that gave us this bigger brain. We're capable of doing things nature didn't necessarily intend, but it's, you know, a consequence that happened, that we have this ability to look outside of the programming, nature's programming, to create our own programming, to recondition ourselves.
As you may have noticed, there were some audio problems in the production of this CD, the DVD, and so I had to make this edit of the soundtrack, and so we'll finish up this program this way. You know, I'm going to just jump ahead through the second segment, and so there'll be a couple of harsh edits here. But anyway, getting back to the subject, I was making the point that our intelligence allows us to step beyond our natural conditioning, our natural psychology. We're more than just primates now, because we have this extra intelligence, this intelligence that we can store outside of ourselves, and it allows us to basically analyze ourselves and to find a meaning that goes beyond what we feel, but it allows us to find a meaning in what we think. And so in viewing life, well, like I said, once you step beyond the you know, a simple religious definition, you know, what does it mean? Does it have purpose? And you know, it's always going to be something. Individuals can play with the facts, you know, depending on which ones they choose and what assumptions they make. But in looking at the assumptions, I mean, everybody assumes life is productive, or that it is some benefit to the universe. But is there realistically any way to prove that or demonstrate that? There are basically two commodities. I might argue there's only one, but let's, for the sake of argument, say there are the two. There's the capacity to feel pain, to suffer, and the capacity to feel comfort and joy and happiness. Some people might say, you know, everybody's going to have a different equation in how they define what pleasure is worth what pain. And in a sense, all living things are paying for life. Life isn't free, and it becomes an interesting question, you know, to develop some equation where you can figure out what the efficiency of life itself is, you know, life on Earth, and then the efficiency of your own life. And the movie It's a Wonderful Life creates a platform for a great analogy, because it's if you've seen the movie, I mean, there's this guy George, and he lives this life that he doesn't think's worth living, and then it's demonstrated to him that, yeah, it was worth living, because you affected all these other lives in these subtle ways, and you were instrumental in saving other people from all kinds of horror and grief. You know, it's intended to be a happy story, a Christmas story, and so that's what it is. But it can be turned, you know, by just simply playing with the facts. You know, in one part of the movie he saves his brother's life, and the story goes that his brother was, you know, saves all these other people in war by shooting down a kamikaze pilot. Well, what if the kamikaze pilot was going to come up with a cure for cancer if he had lived? You know, all of a sudden then George saving his brother, and his brother doing this honorable thing of saving all the men on the transport, all of a sudden these good deeds turn into you know, actions that didn't do the human race any good. They were a detriment to the human race, because the human race would have profited much more from a cure from cancer. So, you know, in this calculation is all this ambiguity, all these little subtleties where we, even if we can define what makes sense or what's good in principle, we can never be sure that the end result, you know, when you take it through all of its permutations, you know, I mean, if somebody would have killed Adolf Hitler, you know, in 1930, you know, would the world be a better place? I mean, you know, in some strange way, did World War II do the world some good? I mean, you know, would Japan have attacked if Germany hadn't? And you know, you have all these questions, and you know, what would have happened, you know, to the world if there was no World War II? And it's just not a certain answer. You know, you can't say for sure, oh yes, this would have happened, everything would have been fine, blah blah blah. It's you know, unfortunately we just don't have the capacity to know what all those permutations are. But you know, I'm not arguing for what we can't do. What I'm arguing for is what we can do, and we can understand